It's me, Dr. Larry, back with another video for the 4th day. I'm really on a roll here because I'm keeping up with it. I'm keeping my promise because that's what's important. A man of integrity keeps his promises. So I am keeping my promises to do a video every day this week as it relates to this current situation so that we have a safe place to come and to discuss things and to dialogue and to communicate and to exchange things back and forth so that we can get through this, so that when all of this that we are going through at this moment subsides, on the other side we're better. That we didn't allow this, or that we didn't allow this to stop us, but nor did we allow all of this to be in vain, because nothing is in vain. Even the worst of life's situations, when you really go back and think about it, has had a positive and an important impact in your life. If you can go back and think about that. Just go back and refer to some of the things that you've gone through. So anyway, so welcome back. To my faithful subscribers, you know I love you, your family. We're here, we're in this together, we're growing. It's a movement, not a moment. And so because of that, we are in this together, and you keep coming back and you're watching and you're liking and you're loving and you're commenting. I love it. I see so many of you guys out there, and I support you. So that's why I come here and I'm doing this, because it's in support of those of you who want to be better, who want to do better, who want to see a better world for everybody overall. And so, so we're here. So thank you guys for coming back. Those of you who are new, if you didn't know, I'm Dr. Larry Smith. I am a certified master life coach and spiritual coach. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a college professor. I have a lot of titles and things underneath my hat. But for those of you who don't know me, that's me, Dr. Larry Smith, and my business is Live For You Coaching. Go ahead and subscribe if you're new. I promise you, you will not be let down. If you go ahead and subscribe, what you're going to get here is going to be something enriching that you could talk about with your friends to enrich them, and so that we can just keep this message going on. Invite them to come over, share the videos, pass them around. But while you're here, go ahead and like the video that you're watching, and go and watch some of the other ones, and like those. Leave comments, and if you want to hit me up directly, I'm at Dr. Larry Smith on Instagram. I'm at Dr. Larry Smith on Facebook. You can hit me up at Dr. Larry at Live For You Coaching, or you could just go out and find me, because I'm out there. We out here. And if you look in the description box, the information is there. So welcome to new people. Go ahead and join the family. We love you too. You don't have to join for us to love you, but we want you to join, because this table that I have set out, when we have these types of discussions, and then we get into some life coaching thing as black men and as people in general, this is something that is enriching, that is needed in today's society. My subscribers and my followers, I've been paying attention to some of the messages, and you guys are enjoying some of this historical content that I am bringing about different things. The last couple of videos had some history in it, and as you guys know, if you didn't know, I'm also a professor of history at a local college. I teach African American history, I teach ethnic studies, I teach U.S. history, I teach world history, world civilization, human geography. Obviously, I know a lot about human society, social studies, and things like that. So aside from being a life coach, I'm an 18-year teacher, 18-year teacher, 10-year professor, 18-year educator. So I've been at this for quite a while. I've been at it. So yeah, so that's probably why you get the sense of the stuff that I know. I know what I know when I know what I know. Anyway, because of that, I've been considering certain things. Like, I think I want to do an entire course on cultural sensitivity, because obviously moments like this remind us that we need to kind of understand different things about each other. And not a lot of people have cultural sensitivity because we're not necessarily taught those things, right? We carry implicit biases, we carry prejudices that we don't know we have. And until somebody helps us to understand them, we won't ever know whether or not they're there. So I would like to do an entire course, and if you guys are willing to pay for something like that, I'll do an entire course on cultural sensitivity. And I'm also thinking either doing a YouTube series as part of this channel, or an entire channel all by itself on African American history. One of the things I have come to realize is when I talk to people, when I talk to some of my students, when I talk to some of my friends and other people, very few people actually have a full, comprehensive, complete knowledge of African American history. right? It's a lot more than just the protests and civil rights and Martin Luther King and slavery. It's a very comprehensive, deep, strong, and rich and very important history. And so I'm considering doing a whole maybe YouTube channel dedicated to just Black history. So let me know in the bottom of the discussions, whether or not you would love to see an entire channel or a segment, like a big section on Black history. I already was considering doing it for Black History Month, like a blitz, where we got a lot, like I'm doing this, but an entire month blitz for Black History Month, in which we talk about different aspects of Black history, African American history. But I could probably do an entire channel or something, because like I said, people love the information. People are telling me thank you, can they share it, stuff they just never knew, and I'm surprised. Black people as well, who just never knew. So let me know. We'll be able to get that going, and hopefully that adds more viewership and more likes and more subscribers, and we continue to grow this channel, because this is a world in which it is important to know about those around you, and what leads to some of the things like what we have going now in this moment with these riots and this George Floyd situation and all of these other situations that I can go down the numerous list of talking about, is the fact of not having an understanding about people when you're dealing with them. So speaking of that, as you guys know, we are at a crossroads in the United States currently, right? We are on the path where we have a divergent way to go. Two different ways to go, right? One way, we can go down a similar path, a comfortable path, the path that we've always gone, where things like racism and biases and classism and social injustice and all of those things have gone on, and we've comfortably lived with those, knowing, most people know in the United States that those things have occurred and do occur on a consistent, regular basis. But most people were comfortable with living in that circumstance. But then when we saw the video of George Floyd's killing, what wound up happening, excuse me, was it put it in our face. And once something's in your face, it means that you have to address it, right? And you can choose not to, but then that's a conscious decision. Your conscience, if it's fine-tuned, will tell you this is something that I think I need to address. That it's hurting my heart, it's impacting my heart, it's impacting my conscience. I got to deal with it. And so we're now on the path where we have this, where we can go back down the path of ignoring it as though it doesn't exist, or we can go down a path where we eradicate racism. We deal with racism. We don't accept it. We don't accept prejudices and biases and all of these things that we have. And we try to make an America that is comprehensive and that is inclusive, and where everyone can feel as though they have a place here. Because when you look at the kaleidoscope of the country, you notice that we've all contributed something of value here. And so because we all contributed and continue to contribute something of value to this country, why can't we all experience the same freedoms and the same liberties that we have here for everybody in this country? I'm a person who believes in the American dream. I'm a person who believes in the American ideas, but I'm also a person who is well aware to know that people didn't always and still don't always have access to that. But I believe that we all should have access to that. Let me give a thumbs up if you guys know what I'm talking about. We all should have access to this idea that the American system has projected for us. So those are our two paths. We can choose our paths to go down. It's just completely dependent up to us. So that's what I want to talk about today, because I know what people are thinking, and when they're seeing these riots and there's looting and all this other stuff, and there's anger and there's yelling and there's this sentiment that has been around for many, many years. I think the big question is that should be being asked: white people, what do we want from you? What do black people want from white people? That is a very, very key question. And I think it is important one to be answered, because when I read through social media, when I talk to my white friends, when I hear people on the news, it's just a whole bunch of stuff. I hear that what I see is that a lot of white people are kind of not understanding as to what this is all about. Think about it this way, and I'll give you a good example. You live in a neighborhood, and your neighborhood is very clean, and it's very tranquil, and there's a homeowners association, and everybody's grass is clean and manicured, and their houses are painted, and you see kids playing in the street, and you see people working on their cars, and doing the yard, and working with flowers, and sipping tea, and having a good time, and everybody speaks, and everybody waves, and you live in that. That is what we call a bubble. Because most of people's experience outside of that bubble isn't quite as tranquil and pleasant as you have it maybe in that bubble of a neighborhood you live in. But if you're so consumed in that bubble that you don't realize the plight of other people around you, that is a problem. And so what happens is, however, and it's not saying that you don't have a right to do that. You have a right to stay in your bubble. But what happens is when things like this situation that we're in now explodes, you're left with what's going on? What is wrong? What is the problem? Well, you're in your bubble, so you don't really see or feel the problem, and therefore many people, because they don't see and feel the problem, they don't really care. But you saw television. You saw George Floyd get killed. Now your bubble has, inside your bubble, is the experience of people outside of your bubble. So I think it's important to discuss what we want from white people, period. Right? So one of the first things, and probably the most important base foundation things that we need to go ahead and say, stop looking at us through the stereotypes. See us beyond the stereotypes that you've created, that others have created about African American men, about African Americans in general. Look beyond the stereotypes and stop treating us based on your stereotypes. What do I mean when I say that? One, we're not animals. So when you see us shot in the streets, when you see us abused, when you see us engaging in things that you might see, what you think you'll see on the Discovery Channel or Animal Planet, we are not animals. We are human beings. I can recall the situation with Michael Brown, and I know that boy laid out on the street for a very long time as though he was an animal, not a human being. No dignity. When you see people as animals, we don't tend to think of animals as having souls in the Western world for whatever reason. And so we treat them as lesser beings, lesser life forms. We are not animals. Do not treat us like animals. Do not engage and look at us and view us and see news about us as though you are observing animals on Animal Planet. That is not who we are. Secondly, we are not all thugs. We are not all thugs. I have a PhD. I own a business. I am a college professor, highly educated person, very much informed on the world around me, very much informed on politics. I vote every single election. I engage in meaningful, deep dialogue on these levels. I have multiple skills and certifications and licenses behind my name. I am not a thug. And even if I was a thug, that does not take away my humanity, because thug is not something you look at as less than. I know plenty of thugs who have PhD levels of education. I know plenty of thugs who have the minds that are what we would call genius. Mensa, they could easily pass a test at Mensa or some kind of test. But the problem is not everybody's given the same opportunity. So those same talents and those same skills and that same mind that could be doing something great for the world, going to Harvard or Yale or Princeton or Stanford or some school that and turning this world around, doesn't have an opportunity to do that. And so therefore they use that power on the streets. But that does not make them less than. Understand them. Sit down, talk to them, ask them questions. Don't be afraid. Our harm is not to you. But the question is, we're not all thugs. There's a whole bunch. All black men aren't thugs. No. And of course, lastly, don't doubt our intelligence. It goes with everything I was just saying. We are highly intelligent. There are some, when I think of people who, some of my favorite African-American male thinkers, Cornel West, Michael Eric Dyson, Van Jones, Barack Obama, James Baldwin, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Alain Locke, Ralph Ellison, Langston Hughes, John Hope Franklin. I can go on and on. Angela Davis, Nikki Giovanni. So I can go on and on. There are many black thinkers who are highly intelligent. Neil deGrasse. You know, we have a lot who think, who are of higher thinking, intelligence, right? Intelligence that are meaningful in moving the world and shaping the world. See us through those lenses. Those same kind of thoughts are out there on the streets. I have students who are African American who are mind-blowingly intelligent, and I enjoy engaging with them. And I try to pull it out of them because I tell them all the time it's not a bad thing to be unintelligent, because for some ever reason in our community, and it possibly has something due to the systematic this denigration that we've had, that intelligence isn't always something that we look to as a thing we must show the world. But guess what? Show your intelligence. I love well-speaking people. People I don't even have to agree with. Elijah Muhammad, Brother Polite. There's a few people that I see that I'm like, these mind-blowing people. They're very intelligent because we're intelligent. We're more than just a thug image. We're more than animals. We are equally intelligent to me. I definitely know, as anyone else. So stop seeing this through the stereotypes. It doesn't work. If you think about U.S. history, as we've already been talking about, and like I said, I'm considering doing a course, we have contributed quite a bit to the culture, to the world. If you stopping at stoplights, that's a black man. If you're refrigerating your food, that's a black man. If you eat peanut butter, that is a black man. If you are even playing with a super soaker or you are looking at other, you are doing other things, these are black creations. It took intellect to get the ingenuity to be able to even create the cotton system that was the basis built on black labor. It wasn't just black labor, that was black minds. See, the difference in that, what people seem to forget, is we give the master, the slave owner, the credit for being the mind behind slavery. No, they used the slave system. The slaves were the minds, the slaves were the bodies of the slave system, and the owners used that intelligence. So my thing is, if you can celebrate us running up and down the court, because you obviously know that we're talented, making music, dancing, all of these things, don't just appreciate us for our talents, our skills, our athleticism, our vocal abilities, our entertainment. See us as equal. That's what we want. Racism isn't a biological fact. Just because we are different shades of hues and our skin complexion is different, mine might be darker, somebody might be darker than mine, and you might be white, you are not better because of that. There is no evidence. Science has proved it. The medical community has proven it. Geography has proven it time and time and time and time again, 1,000 times over the last 100+ years, that just because we look different racially and ethnically does not mean we are any different. If I give a Chinese kid a basketball, he can be Yao Ming. If I give a black kid from a young age a book, he can be Neil deGrasse Tyson. And so at the end of the day, you can't judge people based on the outside. Stop seeing us beyond the stereotypes. That's the first thing we want. The second thing we want is to hear us. Hello? Hello, hello, hello. Is this thing on? Hear us. Because at the end of the day, you cannot be tone deaf anymore. It is this situation where when we have a conversation in the white community, and I watch a lot of things. I watch Fox News, I watch CNN, MSNBC, I hear discussions, I've been to discussions, I've observed, I've had conversations with people. It's always a conversation as though it's about us, as though we're a less than being that you got to look through in a microscope and investigate about and try to scientifically understand. And then secondly, you don't allow us to discuss things for ourselves because our truth, you don't really want to hear. I've been on social media. I told you guys I've been banging. So it's been this moment has just had me a little bit more agitated, I guess, than I normally am. And so I'm on social media and I'm saying the problem is racism. Racism is at the root of what all this is going on is about. And I have people say, don't blame racism. Racism doesn't impact black people. How in the hell are you going to tell a black person who have experienced racism, see the last video, experienced racism, that racism doesn't impact black people? Instead of telling me what I could do, should do, would do if you were me, then you need to just listen and hear what I do. Like I said before, I am not an unintelligent, uneducated, non-informed black person. And so for me, of my caliber telling you that the problem is racism, you better believe, damn it, the problem is racism. I have access to places that other black people don't have. But I can tell you that even in those places, it's racism. So stop being tone deaf. Take a time to listen. Even if you have an opinion, listening gives you an informed opinion before you have your opinion. And I'm all about research. And so go do your research. Learn some things. Know that there are different things that happen that are beyond our control, and then begin to change them. We're anticipating that on you. So get into actions. Learn to listen. Take actions based on what you learn from what we go through. Don't be tone deaf. Lastly, stop killing us. Stop killing us. Don't preach about black on black crime. White people, we're here. Tell your people, cops and or others, to stop killing black people. Because no matter how much you want to say focus on black crime, there is a historical precedence from day one in this country of white people killing black people due to racism. And so because of that, no matter how you slice it, no matter how you put it, no matter if you say we're aggressive, no matter if you say we're criminals, no matter if you, whatever your rationale for us being killed by white people, stop killing us. You will never be able to explain that in any reasonable terms, giving the historical precedent for white people killing black people because of racism that you set up. And so just don't do it. We're tired of seeing it on TV. We're tired of hearing about it on the news. If you can't police black people, get the hell about the black neighborhood. If you're afraid of policing black people, get the hell about the black neighborhood. If you got any issues with black people, get the hell out the black neighborhood. It really is that simple. I don't know why it gets complicated in the discussion. It's that simple. If you don't want to work with black people, if you got any issues with black people, if you are scared of black people, you should not be dealing with black people. I'd rather you segregate yourself than to integrate yourself and kill us. Period. Lastly, let us be great. Stop stopping us when you think you should police us. If you are unaware, that idea of white people policing black people and patrolling us comes from slavery. There were laws in the books. There were fugitive slave laws. There were slave patrols. There were laws in local ordinances and in county and parish governments that said a black person can be literally beat and whooped by a white man if he did something out of line. And that went well into the 20th century. There were laws on the books that allowed white people to punish us. Part of the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms is the right to police black slaves and black people to prevent them from uprising. And so there is a historical precedence for white people telling us what to do, coming and engaging into our lives and interjecting their opinions and their thoughts and their mandates and the commands onto us. Karens, hey Karens, you Karens. I know some of you watch me. I love you, but stop. We don't want to harm you. We don't want to be aggressive towards you. We don't really want to engage. So don't come and engage with us. Don't. We can't walk our dogs. We can't go jogging. We can't be sitting in our own house without somebody coming in from the outside trying to tell us what to do. This inferiority complex that you have for black people is the same. This has been residued onto immigrants. There are immigrant communities who feel they have a right to police, patrol, control, and degrade black people. Why? Because of the precedents that your ancestors set up. Acknowledge that and stop doing that. Let us be great. Just let us be great. I mean, think about it. There's so many things that we already deal with. The African-American wealth gap between blacks and whites is very tremendously high. Wealthy black people are only as wealthy as poor white people. And poor blacks are just out of luck, right? Just out of luck. When you look at things like that. Unemployment. You see these people rioting? A lot of them are young people who are teenagers or under 20 years old. Did you know that for black youth, the unemployment rate is over 26%? Because nobody's hiring them. Some of them need jobs. You worry about black on black crimes? Create jobs in the black community for these young people. I bet you get some of them off the streets and pay them a livable wage. And they won't have to turn to crime and criminal activity to engage their minds or to find a way to eat. Right? So you have that. You have health disparities, what we call education apartheid. You got joblessness. Actually, there are less African Americans in white collar jobs like professors and doctors and lawyers and judges and CEOs. There are less African Americans in 2020 than were in 1995. Yeah. 25 years ago. Yeah. So we've regressed in many ways. There's been progress in certain things, but we've regressed in many things because discrimination is still rampant. Racism is still rampant. Just let us be great. That's all we want. But in order to do that, leave us alone. Give us what we need to survive. Allow us to learn, because most of us are willing to just learn the stuff, because I've learned a lot. I know things from foreign exchange. I know real estate. I know how to make money, how to save money, how to flip credit, how to do things, how to grow money. And so my intent is to teach people. That's what I do. So I'm going to take what I learn and teach. So there's some of us, you could just give us the fishing rod. Or you can just say, here's how you fish, and we're going to go fish. And we're going to fish and feed all of us. But in order to do that, you got to let us be great. You got to stop trying to control us. And you got to stop trying to patrol us. That is coming from the slave patrol, slave control, slave mindset. We don't need white people policing us. Let us be great. It is what it is. Now, I'm going to say clearly, this is obviously isn't to all white people. Some white people are awake enough and are not tone deaf to know that I'm not talking to them. They know, yeah, I see exactly what he's saying, because people around me and family members and friends, they do those types of things to black people, and so I know. So I know exactly what he's talking about. So there are some woke white people, right? I'm not talking to you. Y'all know I'm not talking to you. So they know. they nod their head like, yeah, we know. But there are some who don't. There are some who intentionally do some of the things I've mentioned that needs to stop. And then there are some who unintentionally, who got implicit biases, who do things that don't really know they do things, they say things. You know, if you talk to me, don't talk down to me. Talk to me, one-on-one, man to man. I don't need you trying to engage in a conversation with me that you think you're going to dominate. Because guess what? There are things that I'm expert in that if I'm talking to you, you may not be an expert in. So your best bet is just to sit back, shut up, and listen. Period. I'm the expert. Learn, right? So that's an implicit thing. That's a cultural norm. That's a Europeanized colonizer mentality, and it didn't fly. That's why I like Black Panther. They check some of that colonizer stuff. I thought it was funny. But anyway, let that go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to help. I've been realizing that as I've been going through this, that perhaps, especially as I was preparing for this particular video, that perhaps there are some white people who do not know about their own personal biases, about their own subconscious, unconscious stuff, right? So what I'm going to do is, in the description, Harvard actually did a study that it's a really good exercise that Harvard has put together in the study to try to figure out some of our implicit biases on various different subjects, from religion to sexuality to gender biases to race biases to whatever. And so I'm going to put the link down in the discussion for you guys so that you guys can go and take the implicit bias test through Harvard. Very reputable test. It's a very good test. I give it to my ethnic studies students every semester so that they're able to check their biases and we have real, authentic discussions about it. Then you can go, and if you want to, leave comments. If you're white, leave comments, ask questions. I'll do a video just on answering questions about the implicit bias test that I'm putting down here in this description box. Certain things have got to stop. So if you were wondering what we want, I didn't ask for any handouts. I didn't ask for anything other than very simple equality fair treatment, justice, being able to say that me and a white man are the same, and there is no question about that. That's it. It's probably dealing with something going on with the situation. I don't know. That rarely happens. But nevertheless, that's it. So if you want to know what black people want from white people, now you know. Now you know. We're demanding equality. We're demanding the American promise. We're demanding what our ancestors had people standing on their backs, beating them, whipping them, and killing them to give us. I think if anybody in this country deserves the American dream, it's black people. Because we have put in the groundwork. So stop and let us be great. That's it, family. Thank you for coming. You already know I'm going to keep it like it is. I'm going to tell it like it is. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to put it out there so that we have a thorough idea of what we need to be doing to be great and to be better. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow. This is a week-long thing. I'm building to a place. Of course, I'm going to get us to a place to where we come to a resolve and we start to heal. Because, of course, it's not about staying in this. It's about healing. So we'll get there. We're on our way there. We're halfway through, I think. Pretty much, this is the halfway point. So we're halfway through. I'll be back tomorrow, of course, with another video. And as I always say, I will see you in the next video.